All right. Okay. Big sorry to Nate. Big sorry to Nate. If you watched the last video, he's asked a great question. He's asked a great question. And guess what? I printed out the text so I can't, or not that I can't, but I have less of a chance to fuck it up this time. So, yes, I printed out the text. Thank you so much, Nate. Okay, so let's just start out by reading the text, I guess. Why not? Okay, so bro, should I read it like a children's story? Bro, I just watched your video, LMAO, most racist man North America. That emoji. Can you see it? Yeah, like emoji. That is not what I meant at all, LOL. I probably overcomplicated the question. I was just wondering about your cultural identity. I know being Sri Lankan was a big part of you, at least from the time I knew you. And I was just wondering what you thought defined that, despite growing up in the US and Canada. I was referring to nature versus nurture as a separate video idea, LOL. I was not implying that you are born as a color and automatically embody that culture. Laughy emojis. Right there. Looking back on that text, I completely understand what went wrong, LMAO. At the time, I was thinking it could be a multi-part video or something that went from discussion of A, nature versus nurture, B, what it means to be Sri Lankan, C, cultural differences growing up. So he's asked a great question. But yeah. So no, he's asked a great question. So obviously, me and Nate know our relationship. Other people don't know. I feel like that kind of is important into like the question he's asked me actually, because he's a childhood friend for me. He was my neighbor. Since I moved here, Southern Illinois, in 4th grade. So we would just go to each other's houses and hang out. So I mean, essentially in some way, like I've grown up with him, right? He's known me since I was small, since I didn't have all this and look however you want to describe me. I'm sure my parents have a lot to say about that, as they always mention to me so nicely. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting because he says, I know being Sri Lankan was a big part of you, at least from the time that I knew you. And so he says that to me, but I will say that, like as a kid, I wouldn't have described it as like, oh, being Sri Lankan is like a big part of me, in the way that I viewed myself in comparison to like those around me and everything. I probably tried to ignore that as much as possible growing up, I think. Or I thought like it just didn't really matter. Sri Lankan Tamil, right? Because Tamils are the minority ethnic group in Sri Lanka. And I guess it's important to know like a little bit of the history of why like a lot of Tamils left Sri Lanka because of the Civil War. And a lot of them moved to Canada, actually, specifically Toronto, Canada. If you look at the second most populous place for Sri Lankan Tamils, that ethnic group specifically, it is Toronto, Canada. There's a shocking number, probably like 100,000 or something in that range, right? And if you go there, you can see tons of Tamil, Sri Lankan Tamil stores and everything. So anyway, I digressed a little bit there, but it's important because otherwise I wouldn't be here. Otherwise I wouldn't be here in the West, in America, in Canada. That's the reason why that ethnic group has diversified in the numbers that it has from Sri Lanka, because of the Civil War and everything associated with that. So yeah, I mean, as a kid growing up, I didn't really think like, oh, I'm a big Sri Lankan at heart or something. I think, like I said, I probably tried to ignore that as much as possible. And I think like I've come to terms with that, like, actually I felt embarrassed by it. I felt embarrassed by it as a kid. And it's embarrassing to say that now, right? That I felt embarrassed by it, right? But yeah, I think a lot of first gen kids will understand this. Like, you feel somewhat embarrassed by your parents' culture, your culture at home, or whenever I have like whenever I had Nate maybe even at my house, or like other like American kids like at my house, I wouldn't want them to hear me speaking Tamil with my parents, or my parents speaking Tamil to me or with each other, because I thought like they would think it's weird. Or I wouldn't want them to hear, Tamil music in my house, or smell, different things from the from the prayer room, or from, food wise or something, right? Because I would think, oh, they would think it's weird, right? So it's embarrassing to say that now, that I felt embarrassed by that. But you're a kid. I guess you're a kid. So I guess that's my excuse. At least I think I've matured out of that. And it's sad, because, I'm sure once again, this isn't what exactly he wanted from my video, but I feel like this is what's important to me, right? I know, Nate, I'm getting back to you a little bit late. I'm sorry about that, but I've been thinking about this video for days now, days and days. Like, what do I want to say in this? For me, looking back, like, it's quite sad that I felt embarrassed by that, because, well, whenever you're a kid there, you go and you go and you play soccer, you play this sport or that sport, and you talk to these other like American kids at school and everything, and you think that's who you are. Maybe, the neighborhood girl, the school girl, the girl at school smiled at you. You think that's who you are, right? You think, oh, she smiled at you. And these days, she also likes your Instagram story. So you think also that's who you are, right? But you think, all these things that you do, you think that's who I am. Like, this is the most important parts of my life and everything. And then you have certain experiences and challenges and everything that open your eyes to who has really cared about you your whole life in the background. What has really mattered in what has always been there for you in your life, even whenever you didn't take the time to appreciate it, even whenever you didn't take the time to acknowledge it. It's always been there. And for me, that's my parents, that's my culture, that's my home life. Those are my aunts and uncles. That's, even if I don't talk to them for a long time, they will always care about me. Have never asked anything of me. They simply have just loved me since the time that I was born. So that's something I have to live with. That I was an idiot as a kid. And I failed to realize who really cared about me, or what really has been there for me the whole time, and has never asked anything of me in return. So yeah, I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. So I think I somewhat came to terms with that junior year of college. And well, sorry, I got a little bit distracted. Someone's outside. But I kind of came to appreciate, especially Tamil, um, junior year of college, a little bit more. Um, Embracing like that identity or part of my culture. So I'm happy I kind of at least realized that a little bit at that time. So I don't know. I don't know. You live and you learn. You live and you learn. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. So this is one thing I know I was a little bit slow here, but I failed to realize that like my parents or my aunts and uncles or like family members that I don't see on a regular basis or talk to on a regular basis, their lives, what's important in their lives is me and my sister and the other kids. Their lives are about us. It didn't matter if I saw, the school girl every day, 5 days a week. Because once we don't have school, I don't matter to her, right? So I thought that's who I was, right? Oh, I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. I don't know if this is going to really make sense to a lot of people, but it is what it is. I feel like, this channel is about me talking about my experience or trying to share that. Um, but yeah. Well, I hope Nate, I tried to answer your question. I still think like I didn't really answer like or give you like what you wanted, but um this is what is important that I have learned regarding this question. So yeah, let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.